And now we go over to Chris.
Thanks very much. We want to talk more about these missiles that Iraq has been aiming at Kuwait. We have seen in the desert troops who have donned full chemical gear, gas masks. They thought perhaps time had come for them to move. Turned out not to be. In Kuwait City, journalists have also been taking precautions. Among them is KNBC's Conan Nolan, who has been reporting from Kuwait City for NBC stations all around the country. And Conan, we caught you unawares a little earlier. We saw you in your chem suit. We saw you holding your gas mask. Tell us what it's been like there over the last several hours.
Well, good morning, Chris. A little tense this morning when we first heard the alarm, the first siren go off. I have to tell you some confusion because the Kuwaiti government had said that there was going to be some kind of test, at least that's what we had heard, and that there was some expectation that that's what we were hearing was a test. Why they would schedule one for today is a mystery, but in any case, I think a lot of the people on the street here didn't think that this was an actual alert to a possible missile attack. Yes, we have an NBC consultant here who's here solely for security purposes, and we don't go anywhere without the gas mask. 9 seconds to put it on, so we put it on. Also the biochem suit that gives us some opportunity to escape any kind of nerve gas or VX gas attack. Keep in mind, though, Chris and John, we realize, though, that this is fairly remote. If there's anybody who's in a position to be set upon by chemical or biological weapons, it's the troops amassed by the border. They're in their assembly positions, defensive positions, and they're a lot closer to any kind of artillery units Iraq might be able to put up in the southern area. The belief here is that there's a 24-hour window. Once U.S. military makes its way into southern Iraq, it would eliminate any possibility of artillery units from Saddam Hussein's army getting close enough to launch one that could make it all the way to Kuwait City. Chris, John?
Nevertheless, Conan, it must give your heart pause when you hear those sirens going off.
It does. I have to tell you, though, and you probably know this, that 12 years ago during the Gulf War, the journalists, some had gas masks, but none of us had training. We didn't have these biomed suits, and so these biochem suits. And so there is a confidence that's built after going through the kind of training that most of the journalists have gone through. But despite all that, when you do hear the siren for the first time, your pace, your heart starts to race a little bit. You start thinking about 9 seconds to put this on, and it's a little disquieting. What you wait for is the all clear, and that's the siren that we like to hear the most.
Let me ask you a little bit about that training and when you go ahead and put that biochem suit on, because there was one point where we were talking to Don Teague and he had put on the gas mask and taken it off, but when we saw the shot of you on one of our remote cameras, we saw that you did have the biochem suit on. When would you go to full gear?
Well, it's the consultant, again, the security personnel that have contracted with NBC News say that if you are, obviously you have to have this. This is your first measure of defense. If there is any question as to the possibility of there being a chemical or biological warhead in one of these missiles, you should put a suit. In fact, one of the consultants said, listen, by the third time you've heard a siren, if you're outside, you should have the suit on. You can take it off after a while, but have it close at hand or actually have it on, because time is of the essence. If indeed there is an attack, this can end up being a real problem for you very quickly. The gas mask is what you put on first. This comes second, and then after that, you just essentially get out of the way and get downstairs.
Conan, let me ask you just very quickly, because it's been a little bit since we were able to talk to Don Teague, and he was saying that there isn't a lot of concern, there aren't people walking around with gas masks, but it had been pretty quiet on the streets of Kuwait City, although I think I see in the background right behind you, and I don't know if your cameraman can pull out, a little more traffic activity. Have things been picking up around Kuwait City as you've been able to see?
Well, the streets are clear for the most part, at least for this morning. You see a little traffic now. A lot of the shops are closed up. A lot of people have been putting duct tape, making at least one room a secure room for them. A lot of the Kuwaitis have left. The foreign workers, who most of whom aren't actually foreign, they've been living here for quite some time, and they have stayed. But I have to tell you, Don's right. We've been surprised by the number of people without gas masks. There's some controversy that the Kuwaiti government's been very ineffective effective at passing them out, that there are millions that they've yet to pass out to the population here. And I think a lot of people are fairly in denial. They want this to be like the Gulf War, just a couple of days, no chemical attacks, and then everything's back to normal. At least that's their hope.
Conan Nolan, thanks very much. We appreciate the update, and we'll be checking in with Conan, who is there in Kuwait City along with John Teague throughout the day. John?